Hi, in this video I want to do one part of the application, which is the editor. As you can see here, we have the activity form, which is ugly at the moment, but we will improve that later. First, I want to fix this thing, the activity description, because we want a real editor. So let's do it. I was searching, as you can see from my tabs here, I was searching for an editor which can help me. I knew, for example, two editors which I used in the past. There was TinyMC and there was CK editor. So TinyMC has changed everything, I think, and they have a new website called Tiny Cloud. It's called Tiny, and apparently the editor looks pretty good. This is more like Word. We have an inline editor and a distraction-free mode, which is probably a thing I am looking at. This is one of the things I'd like to use. And apparently we have like a free plan, starter plan, which has like product attribution required, and we have these limits. It's basically a commercial product now. It's no longer a free product like it was in the past. So let me look at other things. So I was searching on Google and I found CK editor is one editor I used in the past. Let me see if it's still like open source or what. CK editor 5. Responsive images, media embeds. Looks pretty good. And seems like it also has like an image upload and file manager, but this is mostly for like a content management system, not what we are going to do. But hey, ready for your favorite technology: React, Angular, Vue, Electron. Let me see here. Pricing. So it's free for freelancer and small projects. One application, commercial license up to 2 developers. So we are making I'm not making a commercial product with my application, but in case I was, the ability to have a commercial license is one of the things you must look at. You can't use a product if it needs a commercial license without paying for it. So another editor I was looking at is Quill, your powerful rich text editor. The nice thing is that being JavaScript, these editors all have a preview in the browser. So this looks pretty good. Built for developers, cross-platform. There is no pricing page, which means it's free, completely free, I think. Let me see in the blog the state of Quill. Quill 1.0 was announced 3 years ago, and it's still the version we are going to use. So another thing I need to consider when choosing the editor is this thing well supported, or is this thing abandoned? So the last commit is from 18 days ago. We have 32,000 stars, used by 14,000 packages and projects. I think this is pretty good to use, right? Another editor I was looking at was this Froala editor. It has a pricing page, and apparently there is no free use for this editor, so I'm going to quit. the page. And maybe we can use CK editor is one of the most established editors, and this is like more structured like a real business. It's a real business. Like they have these add-ons which want us to purchase. We need to subscribe before doing anything apparently. It's open source, but we need to subscribe to use it, I think. So I found this project by searching React Quill on Google, and this is the thing we are going to try now, because this is a Quill component for React. This is the official page for it, and so this is the editor. So yeah, it has different modes. So this is like more medium-like, which I kind of like it. The other thing, yeah, this is the snow theme. This is another theme which I think I'm going to use to start with. This is the, yeah, let's see. Let's start and then we'll see. We see how to use it. So yeah, we install using npm. npm install React Quill. Then we can use the ES6 syntax to import it as soon as it's working. Alright, we can run npm start again. Here is the application. Let me use a dark theme. Okay, so where do I want to add this? It's in the activity here in this component. So I think I need to add this component into the add activity folder, because I always try to look into there. Okay, update the imports for add activity. Let me search where we use the add activity component. Okay, all right. We need to save. Can't find module add activity date picker. So this error comes from here, I think. Can't resolve. Okay, it's working. It was a caching issue, I think, because the URL was updated here. So basically the problem was that I had add activity / date picker, but I moved the add activity file into the folder, so now I can reference these components using /, because it's in the same folder, as you can see here. So now I'm going to import, referencing the documentation, I'm going to import React Quill from React Quill. So the editor warns me that I don't use this component, so let me use it now. So yeah, let me load the CSS as well. And then I am going to load the component here in the JSX. So instead of using the text area, I will use this React Quill component. First I want to like see how it works. So we have a value and an onChange props. So in onChange I can reuse this callback I was using. I'm going to set the description, and the value is the description, which is defined here. So basically initially there is no description, there is no content, because this is the form to add a new activity. And later I will also add the form to edit the activity. So let me see if this thing is working. Cool, we have the editor here, and we can start like saying I went we got an error. So cannot read property value of undefined. onChange. So on this callback here, oh right, so I moved this callback from the text area, and in the text area I could reach the current description by referencing event.target.value. But here we have a different system. I need to figure out how to get the current value stored in the editor, which will be some HTML value. And let me figure out this, and the change. So we get the value directly into onChange by reading this code here. I can see that we get the value. So I can directly say set description value. Let me see if this works. So I'm going back to the app, I'm opening the form, and I can type something, and it seems like it's working. So now I can enter a link, test. This is a link, okay, to test.com. And if I save the activity now, well, let me testing this activity. So I'm going to set them up. The day is today. Save activity. So I still need to fix this thing that does not reload the activities. I need to manually reload the application to see the activity. Okay, I now see that, and as you can see here, we got the HTML, which was stored into the description, which is great. Perfect. So basically I need to think about sanitizing this HTML which we get from the editor at the moment we store it in the database, and yeah, we need to figure out how to prevent, and I need to sanitize it also when adding this HTML into the page, because right now, as you can see, it's treated as text, but I want to have the application interpret this as HTML. This is something we are going to do. So now the form here is pretty cool. And what I can do now, so by looking into Balsamiq, we can see that the form to enter a new activity was defined. Here, it was defined here, but let me see. So what I'm thinking now is that I need a layout for this form, and I think I need to create some, let me try on mockups. And I'm going to use browser container. All right, and here I'm pasting the form data. So I want to add the editor here, like in the normal view when the browser is big. I want to have this this layout be more user-friendly. So let's start by creating a little grid for this. So here on the add activity.js, we are not using this the emotion library which we use elsewhere, and so let me copy and paste this code here. Add activity. Instead of importing React, I'm going to just import useState, because React was needed here to use JSX. But now we are importing the JSX from Emotion Core, which takes care of our inline CSS, which is the thing we are going to use now. Using this tag template, we are going to say display, it's a grid. So we are going to organize the grid in a way similar to this. So we will have the title here, the map below. We will have, well, actually what I'm going to do, since the date in the form is like smaller, we get this text here, which I'm going to paste into the form. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the date there, and the map is a little bit bigger on the right side of the form. And below here I will have the description, which we are going to do now, and I will add the space to upload images here on the right. So this is images, something we are not we don't have yet, but we will add as soon as possible. I still need to think if the editor can handle uploading images, and that would solve our problem, because we can just make the editor big and it will solve the problem for us. We will need to code this solution. So let me first do the upper part here. We are going to have 2 columns. So I'm going to wrap everything into 2 rows. The first row is this, the header, and then I will have the second row here for the description and the images. Then I will cut this first row into 2 columns, and finally I will cut the first column into 2 rows, or maybe I can just use padding and a block element. So let me see here. As I said, I'm going to add a div, which is going to wrap the activity and the date and the map. And finally I will have another div which wraps the description. So, and the save button at the end. So, well, I think that the save button is going to be somewhere else at the end of this, because otherwise you can see it if the editor is too big. It's not, from a usability point of view, users might not notice the save button and they might never add an activity. So maybe I can add it on the top right of the page. Let's see. So let's go ahead. See, here we add our CSS. So first I need to say that we have 2 rows, as I said. So grid template rows, it's maybe 400 pixels, and then auto, and then 100 pixels for the button. Let's see. I need to have well, let me add 500 pixels. I can't see the editor anymore, I don't know why. Let me try if there is any error. No, I don't think. The problem is this. Yes. So adding this code makes the editor disappear for some reason, but let's figure out how to work with the header first. We will check out why it disappeared. Little mystery. Columns, we have like a 500 pixel column. Maybe we can have like 50% and 50%. Alright, so the editor appeared again. It was under the map, that was the problem. Yeah, we can remove the activity title here because I don't need it. The string, and then so why? Okay. I need to divide this into 2 columns, so we're going to wrap this into a div which takes the input and the date picker, and then we have the other column which is the map. So now the map should be on the right side. Perfect. According to our design here, we kind of want this to be a lot bigger than it is now in terms of wide. So since we defined the rows into here, it was add activity max width 300 pixels, but it can be much larger. So we are adding this. Where am I adding this? Okay, in the app.css. Let's remove this. Let's also remove the flex layout details. I'm also going to remove everything in here which I don't use anymore. The only thing is the button, and so slowly I'm removing everything from the CSS and moving everything into Emotion, our CSS in JS library. And here we're going to add CSS, Okay, let me see if this works. Okay, cool. So now I remove the max width property and everything is 100%, taking 100% of the page in terms of width. And so let me add this property here. Max width is 1200. Okay, and margin 0 auto is going to center everything into the form. Perfect. So let me add some padding top here. Then, but first, let me change into the app.js. I'm going to change the default state, which is add activity. Otherwise, I always need to press the plus button. So I added the add activity state here as the default because I don't want to click the plus button every time I reload the page. So here we have our application. So let's make the input bigger. So here we have our CSS. And to make this bigger, I'm going to use padding is 20 pixels. Then I want to make this 200 pixels wide input, maybe 400. Okay, then the map is going to be, I think that this is centered. We have text align center into div.app. Text align center. Because it's written here in the app.css. So I'm going to remove this, and probably this will affect other places in the application, but we will add it later to the emotion CSS. The nice thing about emotion CSS is that CSS does not leak, does not cascade to every other element. So, okay, I think I need to make this smaller, like 1000 pixels. Okay, so the map is there. We don't need to have the map name here. We can see that it's a map, right? So I'm removing this, and I'm also making the map like width is 100% and height is like 200 pixels. So it's going to fill its little part of the grid, and it's also going to be a little bit smaller in height. Okay, so let's go back to the detail here, and so okay, to the add activity, we have the form there. The input element is going to have font size 2rem. So we actually have a bigger font. Okay, so went on the mountain. It's pretty cool. And I also want to have like a placeholder, which is enter the activity name. Okay, so we can see the placeholder when there is nothing in the input. Things I did. Then I want the date to be bigger here. So what I will do is Let me see if I can add the CSS here. No, not to the map picker, sorry, to the date picker. To the date picker. Let's try. No, it's not working. So I need to find a way to pass CSS to the date picker component. And the date picker component, actually I think I can do this here. Let me see. CSS equals CSS font size rem. Let's see. No, it's not working. So datetime picker. So material UI picker. Let me go to the docs guides. CSS overrides. Okay. So it's a bit more complex than I wanted it to be, and I think I will do this in another episode. Right now we are keeping the font pretty small, but I think it's still doable. So I want to align this with the map, but I think I will just make the map smaller. Here we have the map picker, maybe 170 pixel. Maybe. So what I can do here is I can add a margin button. Actually, I'm going to say CSS equals margin top is 40 pixels. Let's see. Is it working? No, it's not working. Display block. No. Let me move this into the map picker component. No, wide map. Date picker. Oh, right. We can define margin top here. Okay, so I need probably 20 pixels, 25. Yeah, I think it looks good. And then we have the description, finally. So the description here, I can remove the title because I don't need it. And we can set on React Quill. On React Quill, I can probably set the height of the editor, size, some let me see. Theme. Oh, so we have like, we can use themes to define like if we want like one of these free styles. I think that right now we are using this style here, which is pretty cool. I just want to set the height of the editor, so how do I pass the height? So this is not... Okay, here we pass the values. I can probably add the CSS here. Let me see. This is my dog again. Height is 500 pixels. No. So I need to figure this out. So I want to do something before working on the editor, which I think I will leave for the next lesson, because we already did a lot of things, and I'm going to move the button above everything. So to move the button, to save the activity, I'm going to move it here before everything else into its own div, which will probably hold another button like to go back. Alright, and I'm going to add a new row here. Okay, so we have the new row, which I think it can be 80 pixels. Maybe this needs less padding. Okay, I move the button to the right, so I can probably say float right. Okay, then I'm going to add a little margin top, 40 pixels, 20 pixels maybe. Alright, so we have the save activity button here. We enter the activity name, we choose the date, we choose the place, we enter the description. I want to have the editor much bigger. Like, I also want to start before, let me see here. I can remove this row, which was the one that hosted the button. I can make this row smaller. We have the editor near everything else, and then as soon as I figure out how to make this bigger, it will be much better, and I think that in the next video we will make that. So let me open Trello here, because so let me go into Trello, and I'm going to... So I did the better design for the form, but I still need to finish that. I'm going to add a few other cards. One is make the editor display properly. Then I want to think about images, and if I can add them in the editor, it's better, maybe. Or maybe we can find a place for the images. Maybe we can do that. I mean, not having the images in the editor HTML, I think it's better, because I can play with the presentation. So I'm just going to say make space for image picker, and then we'd figure out. So then I'm going to What I need to do is, if you remember, we are now printing the HTML from the editor. I want to sanitize HTML generated and display it in the page. And I also need to check if removing the text center in the CSS caused problems and fix them. Okay, so I'm going to move all of these things to the top. All right. So we can wrap this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.